Welcome to the show, everyone. You know, it's Friday, and I am excited about bringing on my next guest. When I said next guest, I meant my first guest, and he's been on the show with me several times, and he's a criminal defense attorney. We're going to talk a little bit about what he can do for people. We're live on Facebook, so I do want to say hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We're going to share the show later on. I have with me Attorney Josh Lopez, and I want you to tell everybody first a little bit about yourself and what you do, because the last time you came on, one thing I felt so much passion from you for the way you take care of your clients. Welcome back.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for having me again. Again, my name is Josh. I'm an attorney here in Arizona, and I'm also licensed in California and Nevada. And one thing that I like to do for my clients is I don't take cases unless I'm going to be able to add value to them. That way, I know that up front I'm going to be able to handle it well and get them a good result. But if I can't take the case, or if I think that it's not something that I'm going to be able to add value to, I'll let them know up front.
Now, one thing that you told me is that what's great about what you do, and it being that you're a boutique firm, it's you. They're going to talk to you. You're going to be the one that's handling the case. I mean, you really take them on. If the case is a case that you could add any value to, you really are the ones that's going to be taking it on from the beginning, not like those big places.
Yeah, that's correct. So whenever somebody calls my office, it's me who's answering the phone. It's me who's answering their questions. It's me who's listening to their story and figuring out the strengths and weaknesses in their case. So, I mean, that's the first thing that I do. So if someone calls my office, I speak with them, see if I can add value, let them know the strategy before they even decide to hire me. It's a free consultation. After that, if they decide to move forward, then there's a number of different things that we need to do, including filing, going to court, and that is all me. I'm the one that handles everything. I'm the one that handles the strategy. I'm the one who's going to court. I'm the one who's taking care of the case.
You're not a cookie cutter.
No.
Right? That's really important. That's why he's 5-star rated everywhere. You can check him out on his website. It's theattorneyjosh.com. He's also on Instagram at azlegalboss. Now, when I give out the number, I want people to put this number in your phone. First of all, when I said it's Friday, because it's Friday and a lot of people want to go have a drink after the show. We're going to talk a little bit about, not after the show, I'm not going to do that, but after work or whatever, and they are going to go have a drink, and anything can happen. We're going to talk a little bit about DUIs and things like that, what not to do and all that, but that's why you need to put this phone number in your phone. Maybe it's for you or someone that you know, but at least if you have the number in your phone, the first thing you can tell the cop is, hold on, I got to call my attorney. Right?
That's right, yeah.
So the number is 480-630-0799. And I want to talk a little bit about DUI because, I've always thought of it as it's a zero tolerance here in Arizona, which means that anything can happen to anybody at any time.
That's right. But so what zero tolerance means is, like, if you're under 21 and you have any alcohol in your system, so you could be pulled over for whatever reason, but if the officer learns that maybe a person who's under 21 years old has any alcohol in their system, and then a blood or breath test comes back with alcohol in their system, because it's zero tolerance, that means it's pretty much an automatic DUI for that individual.
Mm.
Now, if you were 21 or over and you have alcohol in your system, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be arrested and later convicted for DUI. It depends on what the blood alcohol concentration ends up being. It depends on calibration of maintenance records. There's ways to fight those different things. But again, what zero tolerance has to do with is if you are under 21 years old.
Well, you know something, I think it's really crazy, because just the other night, my daughter was at a bar, okay, and she had a friend. They were going to play pool. They would learn. He was teaching her how to play pool, and somebody comes in the bar and says, "Did anyone have a Lexus?" Blah 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 blah. And it was this guy that she was with. He got hit in the parking lot. Somebody hit his car, and he comes out, and the guy is like unbelievably under the influence of alcohol. Okay, and he kept on saying, "Please don't call the police. Please don't call the police," because he's going to get a DUI. And he wasn't in his car, but he had the keys. I mean, tell us a little bit about how that works.
Well, so how that would work if I was, given that hypothetical.
Yeah.
Right there could be an issue because we don't know who is actually driving the vehicle. Now, we're assuming that it was that guy, but it could have been a friend, it could have been a family member, it could have been somebody else who was driving his car. So in those situations where I'm helping someone in like that hypothetical that you're giving, I would have advised that person, one, don't say anything, because it's always the state's job to prove its case against you beyond a reasonable doubt. It is not your job to try and prove your innocence. You are presumed innocent. So the best thing to do in any situation like that is, one, don't say anything. He could have found the person who I think you said it was your daughter's boyfriend,
friend, yeah.
daughter's friend, and gave the insurance information, but not said anything about driving or being in any sort of way attached to the vehicle or like in actual physical control of the vehicle. But that would have been a better way to handle that specific situation. But no matter what, when someone's hiring in my office, whether it's a DUI or any of the other case types I handle, I'm a criminal defense attorney, so anything like that, I'm always looking for holes in the story, for the strengths in our case to present to the prosecutor, because I'm going for dismissals. I'm not going to try and just plea bargain my way out of something. If I can get a dismissal, that's what I'm going for. And if we have to go to trial, I'm willing to do that.
You know what? And let me tell you something. That's the kind of an attorney that you want. Now, maybe it's you or someone that you know. His phone number, put it in your phone. It's 480-630-0799. He is 5-star rated everywhere. His website is theattorneyjosh.com. You can also see him on Instagram at azlegalboss. So what is the first thing that people obviously do? They talk too much.
They talk too much. That is one of the number one things. That is the number one thing that people do. So one of the things when someone calls my office, I ask them, "What did you say to the police?" And sometimes they don't remember. Sometimes they say nothing, which is the perfect scenario, because that leaves open many defenses that we might be able to bring. But when someone starts talking too much, they can use those words against you in court and if we go to trial. And then that makes it an uphill battle, depending on what they said.
I want to ask you, because my mind is going like crazy like this, because I'm thinking, okay, they're putting the phone number in their phone, everybody that's listening, okay? They get pulled over. When do they get on their phone? Because I'm thinking that if a cop sees me on my phone, he's saying, "Dick, let me have that phone," whatever. When do they call?
So let me, like the basic scenario, generally how it would work is someone's getting pulled over, okay? The officer's gonna come up to the vehicle, ask some questions like name, license, insurance, registration. Now those are things that, yes, you're gonna have to give that to the police. But when they start asking questions like, where are you going? Where are you coming from? Have you been drinking? Things like that. Those are not questions that you need to answer. Those are questions designed to see if a crime was committed. And when you answer those different questions, now that leads them to an investigation, potentially for DUI. Now you're doing field sobriety testing. Maybe you're later arrested. Whereas if you said nothing, there's a chance that you're let out on your way.
Yeah.
So at that time, when they start asking those different questions, I recommend at least saying, like, I don't want to answer any questions. I'd like to speak to my attorney. That's all you have to say. That should stop all questions.
Can they pull out the phone and call and say, "Hey, Josh, I need you"?
I mean, they could do that. If an officer is then ordering them to get out of the car or to do something, they should just obey those orders, because it's not worth fighting. It's not at the scene where you're going to want to be arguing or fighting with the officer. It's best to be respectful, because in court is where the fighting takes place.
The phone number again is 480-630-0799. If you do not like the color orange, which I think is what they wear when they're in jail here. I don't know if it's orange or pink anymore. But, here's the thing. You've got to listen up. You got to listen up, because bad things happen to good people, right? And we just never know when it's going to happen. And right now I'm talking about DUI. We're going to talk about domestic violence, because a lot of times, we've got the holidays coming up. A lot of times that happens also around drinking, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But today is Friday, and I want people to be careful. But I will tell you something, if something does happen, please call this number.Is phone number is 480-630-0799. Check him out on his website. It's theattorneyjosh.com. 5-star rated everywhere. So we're going to keep on talking, because we are live on Facebook still.
Oh,
right?
yeah, no problem.
Okay. I hope you like what I just did with you.
It's
Yeah.
good.
Oh yeah, I got to talk about that. 10 years in this, in 10 years doing this.
Right.
And I also will say free consultation again too.
Okay. And I don't know if you could say it, but like encouraging people to just like look me up. Like just if they search Attorney Josh in Google, like they'll see me, they'll see the 5 stars, and they can read the reviews.
Okay.
That's what I can say.
You know, because it's true, there are a lot of, there's a lot of attorneys here, right? And
Right.
so you're up against a lot, and of course, we have the ones that are just like on every billboard, on every bus station, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a big difference,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like one thing is like those other attorneys, they're gonna have staff. They're gonna have other attorneys that, but a lot of times when people are calling in, they're not speaking with the attorney, him or herself. They're speaking to maybe like an intake specialist, maybe some paralegal who's then like maybe going to the attorney to find out answers. And like even myself, when I'm like purchasing different things, like I like to speak with like the person who's going to be doing maybe the service for me, not just like a salesperson. And that's how like I run my business. Like I want to speak to the person because I know that they want that attention. Like when people are hiring me, they're getting me.
Yeah, no, I agree. My daughter had a boyfriend who was, worked for, he was a criminal defense attorney, but worked for somebody, young kid, okay? And what did they have him do? He was the one that when someone called in the middle of the night, had to go to the jail and sit there and talk to them. That's what he did. Wasn't the attorney, it wasn't you would be the one that would do that, correct?
Right, and I was actually just at the jail today. So I'm not necessarily going in the middle of the night like they were
No,
having
that
him
person
do,
did,
but
because, yeah,
but
but
yeah.
but they're like, the phone's ringing all the time for this big giant place, whatever it is. And he ended up leaving, by the way, and not even doing that anymore completely, but because it was hard.
Right, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for me too, but at the same time, I don't have like hundreds and hundreds of clients.
Right.
I take on cases where I'm going to be able to help someone. I'm not overburdened by the cases I handle. I get to pick and choose like what I want to take. I'm not trying to make millions and millions out here. I'm trying to be a reasonable price for people, and
I think what I like the best about it is that you want to get the case thrown out.
right,
That's
and again, I want to provide
Not
personal
just
service.
find a way to lower their, what do you call that when you do that?
Yeah, just a plea bargain.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
yeah.
situations where you have to do that,
Mhm.
but like I'm looking to get the cases dismissed.
So welcome back, everyone. At the break, I always talk more, and we're talking about DUIs right now, and if you want your case dismissed, if that is the best outcome that you can get, that's where Josh's comes in. That's the way I see it. Obviously, everybody's got a different case, right? And you never know what's gonna happen, but that's what you strive for.
That's what I strive for. Like, so again, like what I'm doing is first I hear their story, see the strengths and weaknesses. I have to get the discovery. What discovery is police reports, body cam pictures, calibration and maintenance records, blood test results, breath test results, all of that. We can interview the officers. Now this is like a long process doing these things. It's not like I get everything in right away, but I need to go through that. Once I go through that, again, I'm looking for strengths and weaknesses in the case. Is there a way to get this dismissed? If not, then we're trying to get it reduced. And if we still can't figure something out, we can always take the case to trial.
He wants you to go onto Google, and he wants you to check him out, because he's got the greatest 5-star ratings you've seen anywhere. And that's what I think is important too, as well as going to somebody who's a boutique firm like you are. Having that one attorney that's gonna be there for you and all the way. Because you know what, when you go to those big places, you know who you're gonna talk to, this one, then that one, who knows who you're gonna talk to. You wanna talk to Josh. His phone number is 480-630-0799. Check him out on his website. It's theattorneyjosh.com. Instagram, you can go to azlegalboss, and he does free consultations. He has been doing this for 10 years, and he's experienced, and he's here to help you or someone that you know. Okay, we got to talk a little bit about, domestic violence.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people are drinking, and the next thing you know, somebody gets a little bit upset and does something.
Right, and because the holidays are coming up, there will be an uptick in like these sorts of cases.
Oh, yeah.
So one thing to know about
Nobody likes anyone in their family, so, you know.
right, one thing to know about domestic violence is that here in Arizona at least, domestic violence is not a crime in and of itself. It's an allegation that is attached to a crime, like assault, like hitting someone, that would be an assault. The domestic part comes in because of the relationship between whoever the victim is and the defendant are. So if it is a family relationship, if it's a boyfriend-girlfriend or spousal, things like that, or roommates even, those are domestic relationships which will add that allegation. When that allegation is added, if there is a conviction, what happens is people lose gun rights. There are mandatory classes that you have to do. The punishment is much more severe. And again, a lot of times when holidays are coming up, drinking is involved. Many of my cases involve drinking, but I handle a lot of those types of cases.
Well, the other thing, when you were talking one of the times about domestic violence that I heard from you, you know, years ago, not to say that this is right in any way, if somebody pushed somebody, or if somebody threw something, or you've even said slammed a door, no one would think anything of it. It's different today.
It is different today.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so here in Arizona, sometimes what happens is, let's say there's just two people that are involved. Let's just say they're roommates. It gets a little bit heated, maybe they were drinking, someone calls the police. And when someone calls the police, like during one of these things, they're going to investigate, and if they figure out that there was a domestic relationship, they're roommates, and that a crime occurred, whether it be criminal damage, maybe when someone slammed the door, they broke the doorknob or something like that, something minor like that, or one of the roommates pushed the other one, maybe it was a little push, whatever it may be. DV or domestic violence cases are very strict here. Even if that roommate says, you know what, I don't want to prosecute, you know, it was a little heated, I just called you guys to calm down the situation, the police, their job is to investigate whether a crime occurred, and if they found that a crime did occur, it is their job to then send those reports to a prosecutor for prosecution. It is very strict here. So most of the time what happens in those situations is there will be a prosecution, despite what the victim wants to do.
Even, will somebody go to jail?
Someone usually is going to jail. The only times I've seen it where someone might not go to jail is when maybe there's a child at home and there's no one to watch the child. Or there's just a circumstance
I would think
like
they're
that.
both going. I mean, especially when there's children around, but, you know, this is the thing. When you say that domestic violence is very serious, especially here,
Here in Arizona, it is very serious.
you know, they take things very seriously here, especially when it comes to crimes.
Right, and and people will sometimes think, but it was such a minor incident, and I understand that. It does, to me, it sounds like maybe a minor incident occurred, but the state of Arizona takes it very seriously, and so they always prosecute these things.
So when do they call you on this?
They call me as soon as they can. Like, usually what happens is, let's say someone is arrested for it, they're gonna be booked, and usually they're gonna be released either later that night or the next day. They'll probably have no bond. They'll be released on their own recognizance as long as this is a first-time offense. And then they'll wanna call my office, because then what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna get their story, we're gonna figure out when their court dates are, we're gonna do all the filings, and because it's a misdemeanor case, I'm able to, well, assuming it's a misdemeanor case, then I'm able to go to court on their behalf.
So let's say somebody does go to jail, and what are some of the penalties that can happen to some of these people?
Well, obviously, there could be jail. These, generally speaking, like if we're talking about a domestic violence offense, usually they're going to be charged with maybe assault or disorderly conduct, maybe class 1 misdemeanors. What that means, they can go to jail up to 6 months, $2,500 in fines and fees, 3 years probation. If it's a first-time offense, that's extremely unlikely. But it is serious because, like, they went to jail that night. So I hope.
To me, I'm in jail. If I have handcuffs on me, I'm dying.
Right, so, and then if they are convicted, classes, fines, there could be additional jail, depends on the severity of injuries, things like that.
So it's all about the outcome in this situation,
Right.
right? So how do you do that?
So, like, my goal, again, is to get the best possible result for my client. It has to do with personal relationships I've developed with prosecutors. It has to do with the facts of what actually happened in the case. A lot of times, especially if my client didn't say anything, now we can let the prosecutor know from our client's point of view, like, what happened, and see, again, like, it's the state's job to prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. And if there are witness inconsistencies, if there are things that we can present to the prosecutor, evidence that helps the case, I'm looking to get a dismissal. And a lot of times I'm able to do that, not every time, but that's why I encourage people to look at my Google reviews, because everyone on there is a client that I've represented, and many of those, not all of them, but many of those are dismissals.
And that's what you want. You want somebody that's gonna get it dismissed if he can. So, put this number in your phone. It's 480-630-0799. His website is theattorneyjosh.com. Go to Google, go check him out. There's 5-star rated everywhere, and most of those people there are his clients, and they're all telling you how great of a job he did. He does do free consultations. He's been doing this now for 10 years. He's also licensed in California and Nevada as well. The whole thing is about, what's the case? We got to get down to what the case is about, and where you stand in is where you're going to find those holes. I love the holes. And even just things that you said just now, you've been around for 10 years. You have this relationships with some of the prosecutors and things like that. So that comes into play too.
Yeah, it comes into play. I wouldn't say it's like the driving factor and stuff, but when you have a relationship with a prosecutor and you're working with them, there's different things that can maybe be handled, and you know what they like to see. So if I'm able to provide that mitigation, because sometimes what we're doing is we're playing damage control. They want to see character letters. They want to see different things. And when you're dealing with certain prosecutors, you know what they like. You're going to send them what they need so that they can give my client the best possible outcome.
It's all about that. Again, that phone number is 480-630-0799. I'm saying it over and over and over again because even though we have Uber, we have all of this, so many people will get in the car and drive no matter what. And you think that you can do it. You think it's a short ride or whatever, and something happens, and you can even be a little old lady from Pasadena, right? And you could just take that wrong turn or a wide turn or whatever it is, and the next thing you know, the lights are flashing. What are your final words?
I mean, when that happens, again, like that situation, just don't talk to the police. Save my number in your phone. It is my cell phone number. So if you have any questions or concerns regarding yourself or somebody else, it's good to have my phone number. It's always good to have a defense attorney's phone number in your phone. Nobody likes to have to go through this process, but it's always good to at least know somebody, know a professional who knows what they're doing in case that happens.
Call Josh. You're going to love him. His phone number is 480-630-0799. We do have the holidays coming up right around the corner here, and we all know that it's just happens. That alcohol mixed with family, with loved ones, roommates, I mean, you can even hit somebody's car and all of a sudden you're in a situation. So please be careful out there, but at the same time, you know what? If something, God forbid, happens, give him a call. His phone number is 480-630-0799. It's theattorneyjosh.com.